Welcome everyone to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. Few of you have asked for this. We are live for the first session on Thursday with my mate Jad. So make sure you are liked and subscribed and notifications are on for that. You can become a member as well. On the Friday, we're doing something a little bit fun. We're going to have some special guests and just have a kickback stream for half hour to an hour or so. Do a giveaway. We've got some cool little t-shirts we're going to give away. So we'll give a couple of them away. Be a bit of Ashes banter, but we're here to talk about the Ashes. People have asked for the preview, asked for my takes on some things, so let's get straight into it. And obviously, we've had 2 tests already. Australia have played some tremendous cricket. So has my team as well. I think it's fair to say they've had their moments as well. It's been a hotly contested Ashes series, though. Probably, even though it's 2-0 down, from my perspective, 2-0 up for your perspective, you're a lot more familiar with being 2-0 up than I am in my time alive. It's been a really good contested Ashes. A few bits of controversy, which you'd expect, I think. I've got to admit, there is more fire between these two sides than I can remember, which seems to be kind of nice in a way. It's a bit of a different complexion, but obviously, the first test, it was phenomenal, wasn't it? It was an enjoyable one. I mean, you had Usman, who batted, for all 5 days. Insane. A fantastic 141 knock in their first innings. 65 in the second. I thought Cummins was stiff not to get the nod for man of the match. I know Usman did it, but I thought Cummins' late innings was really got Australia just that job too far and really put it on. I thought his bowling performance in the second was splendid. Joe Root obviously knocked out the 100 in England's first. We batted first and early declaration. And obviously a lot's been talked about Bazball. And I think Bazball's more overplayed by the press than it is the Poms. To me, yeah, they give it a go. And that's pretty cool. And we've seen it a few times. I always thought Bazball, the test would be, you got me saying it now, would be against a top-level side. Not downplaying the sides we've beat, Kiwis and teams like that. They're pretty decent cricket sides. Do you know what I mean? The top 5 in the world. But I do think, ranking-wise and in reality, I think Australia is probably the deepest side, which is fair to say. And I think they are the best. And I think it's given Australia problems. But I link this with, we're kind of Manny Pacquiao and Australia are Floyd Mayweather. And you're not going to beat Floyd Mayweather on points. You're going to have to do something and knock him out. And I think feels like we've gone into this test, and apart from that first session where we declared early, that first innings, we haven't really seen so much Bazball. And I thought, it was, I think it could have gone either way. I think a draw was more likely. A lot of people saying if Poms batted longer, I think you would have just got a draw. The first test, which I'd probably take 1-0. But I thought, the key crux is it's been neck and neck, but there's just that class, that element of skill, like Floyd Mayweather, the superior test match skills came to show. And I think there's always going to be a place for traditional test cricket, regardless of what is reinvented. I do think, though, one thing I'll give Bazball, it's entertaining. It's frustrating from my side. It's probably entertaining from a neutral, but it is frustrating. A lot of giving the wickets away. I feel like when we get Australia out, we get them out through trial and error. I feel like you're always in it against us because it's only a matter of time. And I think the second test showed that the Poms got themselves in a great position at Lords. And then we just threw our wickets away. And it felt like that until the Stokes in the second innings as well. We kind of threw our wickets away until Stokes did Stokes things. But Australia, I thought, were terrific. I thought Steve Smith's innings, at the point in time he did it, was sensational. Josh Tongue, I thought, showed that we need that extra couple of kilometres. I feel like we're really one-paced. And it's really hard to watch. And it's hard to get them wickets, I think, when you're having to bowl short. Australia did it in our innings, the back end, bowled short all the time. We followed them when the wicket was given nothing. And Stuart Broad ultimately profited from that. But Khawaja, again, what an innings. I thought his innings was real solid. And again, England win the toss, had the best of the conditions, didn't quite capitalise. And that's my issue with this gung-ho attitude. I do feel like there's kind of an intermediary they've got to find when they're playing cricket. I think there's got to be, I don't mind someone giving it a big slosh at one end, but there is a time and a place for it. And I did feel like, especially when Australia were bowling short, some of them shots were just needless. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be controversial here, and I hope it doesn't come across biased, but I actually felt England played the short ball better as a bowling side than Australia did. I feel like you guys just negated it better. I feel like the Poms didn't have to play them shots. There was no need. There was so much time left in the game. And I feel like when we started to lose them wickets, that's when you've got to switch the second gear on. And then it comes on to the Bairstow one, and that's probably why you're here. The Bairstow wicket. Firstly, I have no issues with it. At the time, I think at the time in the game, I would be a liar if I wasn't a bit pissed off with it. And I'm intelligent enough to know that if we'd done that, if you took the time of where it was in the game and you were batting, I would have been like, genius. And we've seen it before from England. They did it against Kiwis, and we said quick thinking. We did it against Ireland in the ODI, and again, it was considered quick thinking. Bairstow's a Yorkshire icon. He's done that many a times for Yorkshire, as now has been found out. As usual on Twitter, people have got to go back into the archives because they can't just let bygones be bygones. But I think this paints a bigger picture for England. I think there's I've never seen a side react like it, to be honest. And it's bizarre. And I don't know. I feel like our England side needs an intrinsic motivation that's not there, which is weird. And we know Broad has talked about this for many a times through different coaches about trying to find a reason to hate the opposition and try and find an opposition to hate us. And I feel like we're at kind of a crossroads with this. And I didn't hate it. Yeah, you don't want to see a test match decided by that. I think everyone would admit you don't really want that controversy. But end of the day, it was a brain fade. And I think what I've noticed about this England side over the last couple of series is when something goes wrong, they're always looking for an excuse as opposed to saying, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have cow-cornered that half-tracker at that point in the game. There feels to be a lack of accountability, and they've got to create a narrative around it to get angry. And Ben Stokes is like the gifted at that. When there is heat in the game, Ben Stokes doesn't play well chilled. He plays well under a cosh. And it feels like England have tried to fabricate this at Headingley. They'll know we'll be a partisan crowd because us Northerners, we take cricket a wee bit more serious, I think, in fairness to our Southern counterparts. And I think that's a really intriguing thing. I feel like there's more of it made out than they actually think. There's no way possible anyone who's English is genuinely upset about it. Yeah, it's not nice, but humble enough, he was out. He should have stayed in his crease. Carey was quick thinking. That was happened in an instant. So even if the umpire had called over, the umpire would have had to call over as the ball was almost in flight with the way that sound travels and the way it happens. Because Carey did it in one action. And it's commonplace. Do you know what I mean? Since Mankad, this has been my issue with Mankad as well. Do you know what I mean? Just stay in your fucking crease. It's not that hard. Do you know what I mean? And I understand. I think Ben Stokes worded it wrongly. I think if you watch the footage, the square leg umpire is walking in. Yes, he's unclipped his hat, but that's happened in a blink of an eye. Like Stuart Broad's defence there. That action is as quick as it is to whip your bails off. Right? Do you know what I mean? So that was a brain fart. And it's okay. Bairstow's entitled to a brain fart for me. Do you know what I mean? He's done some brain farts around the ground with catches and stumping chances, buys. That's it. He's there for his batting, and that's become a new thing. So I feel like I would have liked England to say, yes, it's not nice. It's not the way you want to win a game, but end of the day, we should have stayed in our crease. Massive opportunity, because if Stokes had done that with Bairstow at his crease and then Broad added that, then 40 runs are knocked off. Right? So that's the way I think of it. Another way I think of it, if that hadn't happened, Ben Stokes hasn't exactly been batting crash shot, probably wouldn't have torn the attack apart. So for me, Headingley's a must-win game, and you've got to get into the mindset of 2-1 makes it breakable. And for England, 2-2 is probably a win at the end of the series if they can get it. They've got to take some risks and some noise coming out of England camp of what's going on. But ultimately, fair play to the Australians. They're the better side. I don't think anyone can argue the better side at the moment, as much as it hates me to say it, is the green and gold of Australia over it. Lords, they were the better side, I would say, from start to finish, apart from some patches. Edgbaston, I would hope Australians are humble enough to say that that was probably a 50-50 test. And in hindsight, the Poms were probably a little bit Billy Big Bollocks, declaring that I think they could have maybe just hit out at that point. And I'd much rather see that with Bazball. Instead of doing these early declarations, just throw your 4 wickets away, swinging the bat. 20-30, that Nathan Lyon 15 was huge, I think, because that suddenly had made that total always 15 more. And I think when Ben Stokes really hit his straps, there was about 120. When that's below 100, different mindset. But credit to Nathan as well. No Nathan, Toddy's going to be coming in. What a hero, what a game. And you know what? Cummins and Stokes going at each other. It's what you want to see. And I reckon this will be a heated test. And I think that's why I say, I think the Poms probably pissing and moaning about it because it's firing them up. And at the moment, they have approached this game like it's a village game against your dads. You remember doing them at school, dads versus lads? Feels like that. It feels real good-natured and good-spirited. And Australia are there to do a job. And it feels like we're there to almost be like an extra in Neighbours at the minute. So I think there needs to be a little bit of heat in there. And I think KP's spot on with that. And I think maybe this has kicked them into gear. Is it too late? Probably. Maybe you should have done this fucking before the Lord's test. But it is what it is. So boys are heated up. And let's have a look at what we think they are. So probable teams, and these are the rumours at the moment filtering through, that the Poms are going to drop Anderson, rest him. Tongue, surprisingly, has been rumoured to be told to stand down. And obviously, Ollie Pope is out. So that's what the England batting lineup is predicted to look like. Crawley and Duckett. Root will probably go to 3. Brook will get promoted to 4. Stokes will go 5. Bairstow 6. Moeen Ali will come in. I think this should be Ahmed. I love Moeen. He's one of my boys. Great to see him back. We haven't seen him for what feels like forever. Great servant for English cricket. But I think step in the wrong direction. I think this should be Ahmed's job. He's the future. Yes, you're throwing him to the Wolves, but when's a good time? Do you know what I mean? When's a good time? Wilkes, he comes back in. It makes the batting lineup a little bit deeper. Obviously, it does. Brody, Robinson, and Wood's got to play. Mark Wood's got to play. The Poms need the pace. Personally, if I was picking this team, I would have gone a bit more risk-free. I would have kept Tongue in because I think Wood and Tongue, and I would have probably dropped Robinson for Lawrence, brought Ali in and had a deeper batting lineup and made Ali bowl the overs. But, I mean, they're going to have to try something. And this is a fairly aggressive team. Walksy, we know he'll like Headingley. Headingley traditionally swings, so he'll like it. So will Broad. Anderson looks every day his age. So I think it's a strong team. And I don't mind Root going to 3, to be honest. Whether that'll be Brook or Root, I'd rather it be Root. But I feel like that's a fairly rounded side. England need to do something about the openers, though, but that's probably for another series. Australia is pretty simple for Australia, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They don't have to make much changes. But Todd Murphy comes in, and we know that this guy can bowl spin as well. So Nathan drops out, and suddenly he's there. Suddenly they've got a replacement. And this feels like how I've talked about Australia since the 90s. Tremendous respect for the Aussies. Some great sides, and their depth is insane. Khawaja's been a nightmare at the top. Labuschagne, we've seemed to have got a plan for him. Smith seems to play Bazball, and we're okay. Head is that great anomaly. Either we get him early or he's a pain in the arse. Green is an interesting one. Whether there's an argument to play Boland for this one, personally, I think this condition suits Boland really well, but I think Australia may go in unchanged with that. Stark did give England problems, and Hazelwood, he seems to be a staple when he's fit, but I would prefer Boland. But real strong. I actually think England will win this one, just because of the furore. That's not being arrogant. I think they play better angry. It's just a shame that they've had to act like complete turnips to get that anger in. But it should be a ripping test. I've really enjoyed this test series, and best of luck, Australia. Do you know what I mean? Great team and a great venue. Headingley, it's spiritually something that's important to me. So it'll be a great test series. hopefully we have a really good contest. Hopefully everyone just does the work. It would be nice if the Poms man card and just see how they react to that. But it should be a great test, and fair play to Australia. Hopefully we have a really good game, and no talk of spirit of cricket, because what a load of shit. There's no spirit in any game since there's money in there. Like, look at society, boys. So best of luck, Australia. Look after yourselves. I hope you enjoyed this. And see if Pom say he doesn't mind the Bairstow thing. Look after yourselves. Pom out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.